Welcome to the Sun today for the 22nd of February 2025. We have a large number of coronal holes blossoming on the eastern side of the Sun, and I'm going to talk about what that means a bit later. A quick summary of what's going on. The sunspot number is now over 175, that's up from yesterday. 6 new sunspot regions have appeared on the Sun today, which means that that's somewhat of a record. Flare activity, there were 15 C flares, that's a significant increase, but there were no M flares and only 7 coronal mass ejections. The solar wind speed is down to 300 kilometers per second and the magnetosphere is very quiet. Well, let's take a look at the sunspots in a bit more detail. There are 15 regions on the Sun at the moment, 6 of which are new and marked in red. As I said, the sunspot number is now up to about 175 and the area is 1230, which is about the same as yesterday. We are losing some regions over the west limb tomorrow, so sunspot number might be slightly down unless these regions start to develop more quickly. The magnetosphere is remarkably quiet, with the KP index, a measure of how disturbed the magnetosphere is, varying between 0 and 2. The solar wind speed, as I said before, was down to about 300 kilometers per second, although that's scheduled to start to increase over the next couple of days. On the right, you can see that the auroral arc is quite weak. So again, the magnetosphere is quite quiet at the moment. On the right, we have the current status of the coronal holes. Those are the dark areas. I can see potentially 6 coronal holes here, and some of them are becoming quite substantial. If you compare what they looked like one rotation ago, you can see the small one to the northwest is about the same size. However, all the others seem to have grown and morphed somewhat. The one in the northeast is very large and will possibly bathe the Earth in high-speed solar wind in a few days' time. The other 2 are probably too far south, but they are certainly grown a lot since the last time we saw them. And so these are now extending areas of open magnetic field, and I wonder if all 3 of them will join up to be one massive coronal hole. The interesting speculation about this is this could be the first indications that we're beginning to start down the decay phase of solar cycle 25, because where there's coronal holes, there's no space for sunspots and flares and things of that sort. So from that point of view, this could be an indicator of a quieter Sun to come. Here is the GOES X-ray plot. This is the plot that is used to determine how many of each sort of flare we have. You can see today on the 22nd we've had a lot of small C flares, 15 of them, but no M or X flares. But the X-ray background is now up to the equivalent to a C2 flare. A huge loop erupted off the east limb earlier today. I'm going to show you a movie of it in the SEO AIA Helium 2304 channel. Note its size compared to the Earth. The little inset shows the size of the Earth, and that could fit under that loop many times over. So this is a rather massive eruption. However, it's quite a gentle one. You notice that it isn't very high speed, and that's the reason why a lot of the material falls back to the surface of the Sun. Particularly look at the southern edge of the loop and you'll see what I mean. We had 7 CMEs recorded by SOHO today, which is somewhat down from yesterday. So I'm going to show you this usual 2-day C2 plus C3 movie from LASCO. And the idea here is to look at the number of major CMEs. They're still coming thick and fast. So this is not a quiet time by any stretch of the imagination. Well, let's take an educated guess at tomorrow's forecast. The sunspot number may increase more if those new regions start to grow significantly. However, we are losing a couple of regions over the west limb, so it's sort of nip and tuck whether the sunspot number will go up or down. Because of all the new emerging regions, there's the potential for flaring to increase. The solar wind will remain quiet at least for a couple more days before those coronal holes start to move over to our side of the sun. However, if we get some major eruptions, we could also get some coronal mass ejections which might arrive in 2 or 3 days' time. But at the moment we're expecting no significant geomagnetic storms. Taking a look into the more distant future, we can use helioseismology. The grey area here is the magnetogram of the sunspots that are currently facing Earth. Either side are the images of the sunspots on the far side of the sun taken using helioseismology. You can see we have a couple of large areas about to come onto the disk. They may already be there. And then another one a couple of days further behind. But after that, to the east of that, there is very little on the sun according to the helioseismology measurements. And so we could expect at least a week or more of relatively quiet conditions once these sunspots have passed across the sun. Once again, thank you for listening. If you enjoy these videos, please pass them on to friends or neighbors or relations who you think might benefit from understanding more about how the sun works. And so until next time, stay safe and goodbye.